This is a warning about a woman named Soap Sally.
There's a legend in some regions of Appalachia about this creepy old woman who walks around the town at night looking for children who have run away from home. If she finds one, she grabs them by the hand and leads them towards her house in the woods, and nobody ever sees them again. Here's the creepiest part. People say she turns the children into soap. Some even say she makes the soap resemble children's hands, and when she's done, they say she sells the soap to the parents of the missing children. So parents in that area used to use this story to scare their children. So if their kids were out too late, they would say things like, "If you don't get home before dark, Soap Sally will get you."
Ghost stories from around the world. Slovakia, the ghost of the blood countess. Once there was a girl named Elizabeth who was married off at 15 years old. But Elizabeth came from a very dark and disturbing family, especially her aunt and uncle who instructed her in Satanism. Then when she got married, she went to live with her husband in a castle. However, she instructed her husband to build her a chamber where she could abduct peasant girls and torture them. She would stick needles in their fingernails and cover them in honey so bees would eat them alive. She also often bathed and drank those girls' blood as she believed it would make her young and beautiful. She only ever really got caught because she stopped abducting peasant girls at one point and started abducting girls of noble status. Even today, you can visit this castle, but many people have reported hearing disembodied voices of young girls. People have also reported seeing the ghost of Elizabeth herself still roaming the halls of her castle that she was imprisoned in until her death.
If you were to catch this monster, you would be rewarded $250,000. The Jersey Devil was born the 13th child of a witch. When she found out she was pregnant, she yelled, "I wish him to be a devil." When he was born, he started growing wings and a tail. He was growling and screaming and beating up the doctor before he flew up the chimney. What's crazy is that over 2,000 people have claimed to seen the creature, with hundreds of them being credible witnesses. He has been portrayed as half man, half animal. The reason there's so many different versions of how he looks like is because whenever someone sees him, they run. All in all, the myth might not be real, but there is definitely a creature in the Jersey area. Let me know what you think it is in the comments.
The story's called Terrified to Go Home. Every day I come home from school, my father's a little different. But this week my father had been more off than usual. He was in a drunken haze and had the smile of a lunatic. But the thing that bothered me the most wasn't his smile. It was his eyes. They looked wider than humanly possible, as if his eyelids didn't stop where a normal person's would. They went so far back into his head, his eyeballs looked like they were about to pop out of his head. As I start to notice these strange things, he gets up from the couch and walks towards me. He stops about 6 feet away from me, and I realize one startling fact. He's not my father. With an axe in his hand, he starts to walk towards me. He grabs my hand and I rip it away and run for the door, but it's locked. He sprints towards me and grabs me around the neck, throws me to the floor, and begins slicing off my fingers one by one. As I watch my fingers fall to the floor, I hear him laugh. I break away and run for the door. I struggle but manage to get out. I'm terrified.
The creepiest urban legends from around the world, part 2. South Korea, the elevator game or ritual, which legend says will take you to another dimension. All you'll need is a building that has at least 10 floors and to get into the elevator on the first floor alone. Once you're inside, press the 4th floor. Once you get there, don't get out. Press the 2nd. Once you reach the 2nd, press the 6th. Once you're at the 6th, press the 2nd. Once you're at the 2nd, press the 10th. Once you're at the 10th, press the 5th. Once you're at the 5th, a woman will enter. Don't look at her, don't speak to her. She's not human. Press the 1st, and if you start going up to the 10th floor, you've made it. When you get out, the woman will ask, "Where are you going?" Don't answer. You'll know you're there because you'll be the only living thing in this world. But be careful because it's hard to get back.
Today we're going to be continuing our series going over the craziest urban legends from every single US state. And today the ones we got for you are insane. To start out, we have Colorado and the legends of Riverdale Road. This road behind me is located in Colorado and it has so many horrible stories connected to it. It's believed that when you're on this road, you're actually on your way through the gate of hell. It's also believed that if you go at the right time of night, you will see the ghosts of slaves hanging from the trees. It's pretty terrifying. Next is Connecticut, and here we're going to talk about Hannah Cranna, also known as the Wicked Witch of Monroe. Hannah was a 19th century woman who gained the reputation of being a witch once her husband mysteriously fell off of a cliff one day. It was believed that Hannah bewitched her husband and this caused him to fall off a cliff, and it was also believed that she would cast spells on people that she didn't like. One of Hannah's final wishes upon dying was that she wanted to be carried by foot to her cemetery in her coffin, not on a wagon. Despite her wishes, they still took her down in a wagon and the coffin kept falling off and no one knows why.
This is why some people are afraid of the Tooth Fairy. Now, most people know the Tooth Fairy as this sweet, fun-loving little fairy that will take your tooth and give you money in exchange. But there are some legends from Europe that go much darker than this.
And these tales often involve witches who disguise themselves as the Tooth Fairy. Some kids are actually afraid when they lose their tooth, so they throw it out as soon as possible so a witch cannot find them.
Because it's believed in some places that if a witch finds your tooth, she will be able to gain complete control over that person. So if she has that part of you, she will ruin your life.
There's one English legend that tells of a witch named Jenny Greenteeth. She was a witch that was said to hide in scum-filled ponds to catch unsuspecting children.
Now, parents would usually use this Jenny Greenteeth to frighten their children into obedience.
And the pond scum in which the witch hides is said to resemble green teeth.
So this story is used to encourage children to brush their teeth so they don't get gross teeth like the witch.
Creatures in the Backrooms, Part 1. This is a skin stealer. The only description that we really have of these creatures are that they are tall and pale yellow creatures. They look like a humanoid figure with sunken eyes. Skin stealers are normally docile creatures, but they get aggravated when they get touched. Once they become aggravated, they hunt down and kill their victim and then tear off their skin, presumably to wear on their own bodies as a sort of disguise. Explorers with long scars along their veins, neck, or chest may possibly be a skin stealer. Another way to tell is by looking at their blood. Skin stealers' blood is transparent. An easy way to remember this is by remembering the rhyme, blood is red, he's not dead, blood's not in sight, be ready to fight. These entities can be found on level 1 and 2.
The true story of the woman who helped over 600 other women poison their husbands. In 17th century Italy, women were still considered men's property. Marriages were pretty much always prearranged or financially motivated. So if your husband was abusive, you were pretty much just stuck with him. But when one woman was executed for killing her abusive husband, her daughter started a business of her own. Giulia Tofana decided to start helping abused wives. She was a well-known makeup seller, so that helped her get connected with other women. She created and sold the Aqua Tofana, a mix of lead, belladonna, and a bunch of other ingredients. It had no color, no taste, and it was slow working, so it couldn't be detected. And she disguised this poison as makeup. Eventually, though, one of her clients had second thoughts and ended up ratting on her. Giulia then confessed to helping over 600 women kill their husbands and was executed.
If you look at this monster, he will whip out your eyes with a whip made from a human spine. The Dullahan, or the headless horseman, goes into different towns and will call out one person by their name. No matter what that person does, their soul will leave their body and they will immediately drop dead. He has a black horse and wears a black coat. He holds his own head in the sky, looking for his next victim. He's from Irish folklore, but his legend has evolved to different cultures, including America's, and the legend of Sleepy Hollow. There are rumors that gold can make him disappear. Do you have anything that can protect you from the Dullahan? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like. Thank you guys.
McCamey Manor is the scariest haunted house in the world. It's so gruesome and graphic that I can't even put pictures of it on TikTok. Before going in, the participants must receive physical and mental evaluation. They are offering $20,000 to anyone who can complete the maze, and no one has been able to do that. And they currently have a wait list of about 30,000 people. Not only that, but the people inside that manor are physically allowed to touch you and do things to you, so you have to sign a waiver prior to going in.
Hi, my name is Jessie V with 2 eyes, and I am here to tell you about all the creepy and strange things in this world. When you first see these pictures, you probably think, oh, that's a little weird. There's a ton of people standing in the middle of a field. What if I told you that those weren't people, but instead scarecrow-like figures made to resemble people? There are over 1,000 lifeless figures standing in a field on the side of Highway 5 in Finland, and no one knows why. People assume it must be some sort of art installation, but the artist has never explained why they're there. Their clothing lighting is changed twice a year, and they just stand there all day watching the road as people pass by. And anyone who has ever seen these forgotten statues in person say they get this very disturbing feeling around them. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's disturbing or interesting? And you can find more of these stories over on my YouTube channel.
Do you know what your biggest fear is? If so, don't look under your bed. Because the boogeyman knows it and will turn into your biggest fear. He can hide in your closet or under your bed. The messier the room is, the more he can hide. Since the boogeyman doesn't know its true form, he scares himself when he sees his own reflection. The crazy thing is, almost every culture has its own version of the boogeyman. He has been used to scare misbehaving children into obedience by their parents. So if you have a messy room, my advice, you clean it up before you go to sleep. Tell me in the comments your version of the boogeyman. If you're a fan of monsters, scary stories, and lore, please like and follow this channel. Thank you guys.
This story's called We're Under the House. During a sleepover at a friend's house, a little girl noticed some strange things starting to happen. Every time she'd go into her friend's room, she'd get a cold chill. The doors around the house would start closing themselves. And she'd hear terrifying whispers of someone saying, "Please help me." That night, with little to no sleep, the girl goes to the bathroom in the middle of the night, only to suddenly see the reflection of a girl about the same age behind her. She quickly runs back to her friend's bedroom and gets into the bed that she was sleeping in. While laying there in the dark under the covers, she can hear someone breathing and the door slam closed. She quickly pulls the covers back and sees writing on the wall. It says, "Help me, we're buried under the house." The family would later be charged with the murder of their daughter and her best friend's twin sister, who was found buried under the back of the house.
Today we're talking about the Japanese urban legend Akamanto. Akamanto is a Japanese urban legend known to be either a spirit or a serial killer who lurks in bathrooms. The way that Akamanto typically appears in front of someone is if they go into the fourth stall in the bathroom. When in the fourth stall, you go for the toilet paper and realize there is none. And then you hear a voice ask you, "Do you want red paper or blue paper?" If you choose red paper, you'll be stabbed until there's blood covering your entire body, making it look like you're wearing red as he is. If you choose blue paper, he'll suck all the blood out of your body, leaving you blue-faced and dead. Some methods of surviving Akamanto are by either answering, "I don't need any paper," giving you a split second to run, or just not choosing the fourth stall in the bathroom to begin with.
Urban legends to haunt you. The clown statue. A few years ago, a mother and a father decided that they needed a break, so they wanted to head out for a night on the town. They called their most trusted babysitter, and when she arrived, their 2 children were already fast asleep. Later in the night, the babysitter got bored and she wanted to watch TV, but the only TV with cable was in the parents' room. So she called the parents to ask to see if she could watch TV in their room. Of course the parents said it was okay, but then the babysitter had one last request. She asked if she could cover up the large clown statue in their room with a blanket. The phone line went silent for a moment, and then the father finally said, "Take the children and get out of the house immediately. We'll call the police. We don't have a clown statue." When they arrived, they discovered the children and the babysitter murdered by the clown. The clown was a killer that had escaped from jail.
Today we're talking about Longhorse. Longhorse is an internet urban legend creature that was created by Trevor Henderson. It originates in 2018, and it's a creature that has a horse skull without a jaw as a head. Longhorse established as a legend when a picture of the creature began to spread on the internet in August of 2018. Trevor posted a picture of the creature with a description that he had dreamt of the horse beforehand. Many other photos began to pop up on the internet of Longhorse, and some telling more about the origins of the horse. Longhorse is actually seen to be a pure and harmless creature whose goal is to warn humans about upcoming dangers. He's able to travel in people's dreams, which is how he warns them. If you see or hear his neck crack in the dream, it's a message from him that's trying to warn you about something bad coming up. And bad things don't happen because of him. He's just there to warn you.
Today I'll be talking about an urban legend about goblins in Mexico. So in Mexico, there's this well-known rumor about goblins taking newborn babies out of their cribs and kidnapping them. And most of the newborn babies that were kidnapped by the goblins, also known as duendes in Mexico, they were usually found drowned in rivers or never seen again. And so kids disappearing was very common in Mexico, and they would just blame it on the goblins. So one night, this recently married couple that already had a baby was about to go to sleep. And so the mom had decided to put her newborn baby to bed, and the baby's name was Sonia. A few hours go by and everybody's asleep. The mother decides to check on her baby because she hasn't cried in a long time, and she thought that wasn't normal. And for the mother's surprise, the baby was missing, and she automatically knew it was the duende. The woman immediately woke up her husband, and they lit up a torch and woke up everybody in the town. Part 2 is up.
The creepiest urban legends from around the world, Part 1. Germany. Meat is murder. It was 1947 during the Hunger Years, and in post-war Berlin, a woman was walking through a crowd when she noticed a blind man with a cane who was struggling. She stopped and offered to help him, and he said he was trying to deliver a letter and asked her to deliver it instead. She agreed since it was on her way, and as she began to walk, she glanced back and noticed that the man was running away down an alley without his cane. She got a bad feeling and took the letter to the police, and when they went to the address, they found there were bags of human flesh, and the letter said, "This is today's serving."
Alabama Dead Children's Playground. Since 1822, this playground is located in Huntsville, Alabama. It was built for kids to play on while parents visited graves of their loved ones. It's said that the spirits of the children who were buried there come out to play at night. People claim to have seen orbs of light going down the slides and swings moving on their own. Some even hear voices and giggling. Some say the spirits include victims of child murders in the 60s, when it was rumored that the bodies were found where the playground was built.